This is a story of the season of service, period of peace. It's a story about an initiative that grew on its own and became a major part of the San Leandro High School. It's really quite a story. Around 2007, San Leandro High School was dealing with issues of gangs and violence. Things were looking bad. The Alameda County Office of Education and San Leandro High School won a grant to work on violence. A gang counselor was hired to work with the gang issues. But something else was needed to diminish the overall culture of violence that was on our campus. We wanted to engage the students in service that would diminish campus violence. But to say that we had a master plan in mind, well, that'd be stretching the truth. The season of service grew out of this picture. That's Cesar Chavez in 1968, when he was engaged in a 24-day fast for nonviolence. This picture shows the moment where Cesar began eating again. That's Bobby Kennedy giving Cesar a communion wafer, his first food in nearly a month. This is Julie Chavez Rodriguez. Julie had come to San Leandro High to work with us on our nonviolence efforts. She and Evan Goldberg from the County Office of Education were working with SLAM teachers to create a service learning project that reduced violence. 24 students in our media academy, SLAM, volunteered to commemorate the 40th anniversary of Cesar Chavez's 1968 fast. Each student made a media piece emphasizing nonviolence and peace, and students fasted one day each week over a 5-week period. Students fasted for civil rights heroes and nonviolent heroes. They also memorialized their classmates who had been murdered. We grieved Melissa Jackson, Dominique Huber Brown, Nyancy Gonzalez, and Greg Ballard. We held a press conference in the library and celebrated with Julie Rodriguez. And through the period of what we now call the fast, something seemed to happen. SLAM students became calmer, more attentive, and they've grown and changed. So the next year, virtually every SLAM student wanted to join the fast. In all, there are around 50 students involved, a period that stretched from Martin Luther King Day in January through Cesar Chavez Day in March, a 10-week period. That's when SLAM teachers Tony Farley and Phil Hargrave asked, "Why are you just doing this with our students? Why don't we work to get the whole campus involved?" 10 weeks, 10 groups, the season of service, period of peace was born. The first season of service included all 3 school academies, SLAM, Social Justice, and Business, the Art Department, and the ASB. Clubs and campus groups joined to give students opportunities to express their desires for peace through their identity groups. The thought behind the season was that each group had a slightly different perspective and the voice about the issue of violence in San Leandro. We needed to give each group its chance to speak its vision for peace and nonviolence. Other groups made nonviolent art, poetry, and even this giant human peace sign. The season of service was more than a bunch of service projects strung together. It was the beginning of a campus campaign for peace. The campaign was grassroots, originating with the teachers and students. In 2010, the season of service began to refine itself. A huge addition was the work by graphic arts students who made a poster for each group based on its project description and motto. We began to improve projects, increase communication, and connect one project to the next. In 2011, things continued to improve. New groups joined the season of service, projects continued to refine themselves. The culminating piece of the season in 2011 was included in an all-school assembly. You can see students from various groups holding up their group's posters. Behind them is a large season of service banner. In 2011 and 2012, the season of service won 2 National Promising Practice Character Education Awards for our work on peace and nonviolence. The season of service was also honored at national conferences and other events. In 2012, as violence waned, people began to ask whether the season of service had served its purpose. The tragic murders of Lanisha Northington and Myrna Umanzor were reminders that our work was not finished. We became resolved to continue the struggle against violence in all of its forms. We saw the progression of violence from exclusion and bullying to its extremes. In 2012 and 2013, we used our theater here and the gym over at the Korematsu campus for school-wide assemblies. The culminating assemblies featured work from student groups and a composite video where the work of each group was highlighted. So as we finish looking back, we want to take a moment to look towards the future. We have a good start with the season of service, period of peace, and we're still working to get better. We believe that students can help create more peaceful schools by exerting the power of their collective will. We believe that students can unite to change the culture and climate of their campus life, and we believe that there is a greater need in our community. This short video explains the needs in our community.
I have never ever hid in a friend's apartment while there was a shootout going on.
I have never ever cut myself.
I have never ever been picked on for the way I look.
I have never ever had a family friend commit suicide by overdose because they were depressed.
I never ever lost a friend from 18 gunshots suddenly.
I have never ever been assaulted and threatened on a weekly basis. I have never ever had a friend suffer in an abusive relationship.
I have never ever had a drug addict as a mom.
I have never ever had all my friends turn against me and start bullying me.
I have never ever been made fun of because I wanted to wait.
I've never ever had one of my parents be in an abusive relationship with an alcoholic.
I've never ever bullied a kid into changing schools.
I've never ever had a friend who's committed suicide.
I've never ever been bullied.
But my never ever is the reality.
But my never ever is the reality.
But my never ever
Is the reality
Is the reality for someone else.
For someone
Of somebody else
Someone else
for someone in this video.
someone else in this video.
in this video.
in this video.